I was born of the 42 ideals of Ma'at. My mother is nature. My father is time. I am a Neski queen.
Okay, all right, here we are, the first show of the new year according to the Gregorian calendar. Happy 2024. We are back like we never left from 2 weeks ago. We are now here on this Thursday, January 11th, 2024, for episode 7 of the Be More Mindful podcast. Today's title is Parents Just Do Understand. So those who are joining us, we all know that the Be More Mindful podcast is an open forum to discuss mental and social barriers. And while we're talking about them, we're going to expose the cultural arts and how these arts help cope with these mental and social barriers. So for those of you who know me and those who don't, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Aneski and a Kemset. Aneski literally means she belongs to me, and I am the queen of what life is like. Before the show gets started, I want to make sure we go over our expectations for the show. And the expectations are quite easy. If you can remember 4 letters, LOVE, then you will be able to participate in the conversation with no problems at all. Everything will be all good. So let me get into details of what these letters mean. L is to listen to each other. We're here to have a conversation. So we're going to be mindful and respect each other when we speak. We're going to hear each other out. We're going to listen to what each other has to say. Second is O, which means openly express ourselves. And we're going to do that with respect. We're going to be mindful of, anything that could be offensive or harmful in any way to anyone. We're just going to make sure we're having a positive conversation and using positive, productive words. The V stands for view all opinions individually. Everyone here has their own mind. Not supposed to be happening. I apologize for that.
It's all good.
As y'all all know, normally Be More Mindful podcast would be streaming from the WKIM Media Network. Lately, we've been having some technical difficulties, and with all respect to myself and our guests, when their time is being required, I try to make sure that the show goes on. And so we are streaming live again from the Four Authors Media Network, which has not officially launched, but has launched. And so getting back to the show expectations, we have listen to each other, openly express with respect, view opinions individually. As I was saying, each one here has their own thoughts and minds and experiences, and so we're going to hold each one to that. We're not here to impose anything on anyone. We're just here to have a conversation and see what's going on in each other's minds. And last but not least, the E is for end in love, end in peace and love of all things. It's okay to agree to disagree, and it's okay to have different opinions and hear them out and still be able to love each other and walk away in a silver manner. So this is what the Be More Mindful podcast is all about, really, just bringing the city together in conversation and speaking about things and topics that people really don't want to go into depth from a mental and social aspect as far as actual barriers. With that in mind, my guest today, I'm so excited to have. For those who have been following the podcast, just know that the first guest was a good friend of mine by the name of Shamise Lady Jacobs, and I met this young lady about 3 years in now, and the energy between us has just created a bond, a sisterhood like none other. And so through that, I was able to meet a good brother here with the same energy, but from the male perspective, and the love that we have for each other as far as respect of each other's talents, creations, and jobs, and what we do is amazing. It's something to be inspired by when you're in a circle among us. So of course it behooves me to have the first show of the year have my guest be this good brother right here by the name of John Hansboro, and he is the what do you call yourself, the
I am the
unusual
Spitfire poet with unusual favor.
unusual favor.
Yep. The
He is
Spitfire
an
poet with
author of
unusual
poetry.
favor. Yes,
That's
I am.
right.
First, let me say it is an absolute. So I'm trying to keep from my face I'm trying to be professional, but I'm so happy and so elated, Aneski, like to see you doing this. You know what I mean? Is incredible. It's also inspiring. It lets you know that when you on the right path and you got the right people around you, all sorts of doors open up. You know what I mean? And this is just a true testament of that. So I want to thank you for having me on your show. Congratulations on the show. You
Thank
know you
you.
got my support in anything that you do.
Thank
But my
you.
name is John. I'm the Spitfire Poet with unusual favor. I am an author, podcaster, father, husband. I'm a poet. Yeah, that's
Now thespian. He's now a thespian. He's definitely one of the stars in the production of four authors entitled I Am Woke, a Poetical Experience. It was a play that we did about 2 years ago. And John definitely he brought the fire. He brought the fire to this stage. And and through that, we were able to connect and have conversation. And as a matter of fact, John, I think I've been on your show about 10 times since
I'm sure.
we've
Yeah,
met.
definitely. Right.
10
Definitely. You
times.
definitely.
And that makes my heart feel so good because just coming on there, it's just like a family reunion every time, and every conversation we have is great. And you're actually one of the biggest inspirations for me going forward with this podcast. For those who don't
Thank
know, please make sure you check out John's podcast. It comes John, I'll let you go. Don't get this for you. Let them know where they can find you at for your podcast.
Yeah, so you can catch me on What Up Baltimore online radio. What Up Baltimore television. I'm sorry. What Up Baltimore TV is on YouTube. Subscribe to the What Up Baltimore TV page. You can catch me every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Spitfire Poetry Shutdown podcast, where I bring amazing poets and artists on, like Aneski, Anna Kamzet, and other spoken word artists, producers, writers. And we just talk about what makes us tick basically as writers, why we write, what inspires us to write. I am also the author of a couple of books. Unusual Favor is my very, very first book. And on April 20th, between April 20th and April 25th is my anniversary. So this book will be published for
Wow.
4 years now. This will be out for 4 years now. Part 2 of this book will be out in the next month or so, I'm hoping. Unusual Favor 2, Victory in the Storm. And then I also have 2 poetry books, Spitfire Poetry Volume 1 and 2. All of my books are available on Amazon. And writing is what I do. That's what I do to keep myself motivated. This is everything for me. It's therapy.
Right.
It's everything. It definitely is everything.
That was definitely a connection between you and I. Matter of fact, one of my favorite poems of yours is "Poetry is my therapy." And what I like most about you with your podcast, I mean, you just let everyone be them. I mean, you allow conversations to be held. The language is what it is. Even the poetry, you allow the art to step forth first, and then continue on throughout with the rest of whatever the interview is about. And that was very inspiring to me because every podcast that I watch, and even if I don't catch it on the live stream, and I go back and watch the videos, they're very evoking. You get very much engaged in the conversation, and you get to know an artist, one writer to another. Is always amazing to hear stories behind people's writings, and so
Right.
you're able to bring out the rawness and realness of that, and it's very therapeutical, for writing, as for me and as for you, as you discussed. But I want to know, how does having a podcast help you cope with any mental or social barriers? I mean, you're a writer, but you're also a podcast host. You have conversations with people. Does that help you? With any mental barriers, and if so, how?
That's a wonderful question too. And it definitely does. And I want to say, I didn't even realize how much of a help that it really was to me until I really started having different people on and talking to them and having conversations. Um, I love poetry for the fact of, well, the art of it, for how it makes us feel. When I
Mm-hmm.
listen to people talk, when I listen to other poets talk about their journeys in life and what they're dealing with, it's always something that's inspiring to me, something that they dealt with sticks out to me. Um, Trials and tribulations, you know what I mean? When we're in spaces where we think we can't take it, and we
Right,
wind up making it a testimony later on where we're able to share with people, to tell them how we
definitely.
did get through. It's nothing like it. And I doing the podcast, honestly, sis, in the beginning, I ain't even going to front. It was about the brand. It was about my books, Unusual Favor, and I wanted to constantly be on every week so I can push the product. Um, so I didn't even think about having hosts. I mean, having people come on. I was going to do poetry every week or maybe once a month. And then I was inspired to do it every week, right? And then when I started
Mhm.
having guests come on, I felt really comfortable with just having just like we do, having a conversation with them, but then letting them be who they are. And I gotta
Right,
say too, that's from the help of being, so the network that I'm on. I want to give a shout out to um, Lady J Jenkins,
right,
Charlene
right,
Lady J Jenkins, because she allows me to um, be who I am on that platform. So I'm able to bring people on and let them be who they are, because that's what it's all about for me. I want you to come on, be who you are, tell your story. It's going to inspire somebody. You know what I mean? It's
right,
going to inspire
right,
somebody. It's going to help somebody. You know what I mean? So I have to attribute a lot to her as well, because she allows me that space to go on and be myself, and just, she trusts me to be who I am and do the right thing, and not, be on that
right.
doing nothing crazy. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
Um,
right. Respectfully, yes. And I
yeah.
shout out to her, yes. Miss Charlene Jenkins. I've met her quite a few, and I love when she's on the show. Um, and she's in the comments. She's very encouraging, and
Absolutely.
she's one of my biggest fans. She's told me herself, and I appreciate that. And I always love when she's in the building. I definitely try to make sure that I put my best foot forward when I'm performing when she's there, because I know that's what she's looking for. She's looking for that. So
Right.
I appreciate her. Thank you. Thank you, John. Again, for the inspiration and the support.
Mhm.
It's really good to see. I like being in a circle where people aren't in competition. We're
Mhm.
in a commitment. There's a difference. There's
Uh-huh.
no. I'm not here. We're not here to outdo each other, but we're actually
Mhm.
here to make sure each other do the best that
Mhm.
we can. And it's
Mhm.
something about being in that kind of circle that just makes you want to keep doing. It keeps motivating you, because you don't have the fear of this person's going to hate on me, or this person's going to have something to say or try to do something to combat me or restrict me from going forward. It's good, because when I first told you I had a podcast, she was like, man, let me know.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Let me
That's what it's
know.
about.
And it was great. Yeah, it was
Yeah, that's
great.
what
Yeah.
it's about though, really. I that's what it's about at the end of the day. It really is. It's about us helping and inspiring each other. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
I don't feel the I never understood the competition part in certain things because it's so much out there for everybody. There's no need for
Yes, it is.
competition. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
right.
so much out there for everybody. And I am a very, very firm believer in whatever he has for you is yours. Nobody can do anything about it. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can take it. Nobody can copy it. It's just what
Right.
it is. It's yours. He gave it to you. That's your gift for you to explore and use. Nobody else can do it like you do it.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So let's get into the subject of the show. And I chose this subject in lieu of my last guest, who was phenomenal kid. I don't even like using the word kid because I try to keep it in perspective. And I want to say child, but he's so mature. He's definitely a young man.
Hmm.
I had little Zay on speaking out on behalf of the youth, and
Okay.
he had an awesome message, which was just stay positive. But more so, he pointed out that the youth just want to be heard, they just want to be loved, and that he expressed that there was it seemed to be a misunderstanding there. And so thinking about what to talk about next, I thought it would be just right to to talk about from the parent standpoint. Today's subject is parents just do understand, because the
Right.
moment he spoke, I instantly understood. My childlike self came to that reasoning with him and was able to identify moments where that's all I really wanted. When even though I know I'm to obey and get instructions and have it given, but I wanted it with a sense of respect and regard to my emotions and feelings as a child too, and what I had going on. And so I wanted to just go on and put it out there that all parents, all parents seem to go through a curve. There's no textbook to this,
Mhm.
and I'm open. I've birthed 7 children from myself and have been influencing the lives of so many, even down to my children through my marriage. It's like so array of personalities and children, and so with each child, they have taught me to humble myself and become understanding with them in order to meet their individual needs. And
Mhm.
so the quote I use, the first segment of the show is to touch base with a quote that I post with the flyer. The quote I use is from Wolfgang van Goethe. I'm sorry, this Johann Wolfgang van Goethe. He's German. He's a German writer. And the quote I picked was, "There are only 2 lasting bequests we can hope to give our children. One of these is roots, the other is wings." And so I chose that because, again, when you get into a position of being a parent, whether you birth a child or whether it's a step or foster, however, once you get into this relationship with this child, an adolescent or however, um, you tend to catch yourself at a new fork in the road in life, which is what to teach this child and how to teach it differently than what your parents taught you. Because, truth be told, becoming parents, we all think about what our parents did and we try to hold on to the valuable lessons, but try to tweak the things that were done that affected us in a certain way. And so that quote stood out to me because at the end of the day, that is one of the, at the end of the day, that's one of the major things as a parent. All you really want to do when you're developing, this parenting style or this relationship as you go through with your child, you really just want to make sure they know where they came from and know where they're going, and that's a hard, as being a parent, again, without, I mean, they have classes and things, but though there is no textbook that fits every child, every lifestyle, every parent, because every parent was a child first. So we
Right.
came through traumas and things of our own. So whatever the books say, it's not embedded in time because it's not going to be able to fit the thousands and thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives that is born every day. So what do you think about that quote, John? As a parent, you believe you have two girls, correct?
Yeah, 2 daughters, absolutely. And
Yeah, two girls.
um First of all, that quote was some bars right there because
Yes, yes.
um, you know, and thinking about what I want for my own children, you know what I mean? He really hit it on the nose with wings and roots. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say that because with the roots, you want them to remember what you've instilled in them. You know,
Right.
there's going to come a time when we're no longer there and they have to do this thing called life on their own. So
Mm.
you want them to um hopefully move in a way and remembering things that was instilled into them, right from wrong, and treating people with respect, things like that. You know what I mean? When it comes to roots, wings, now I look at that as, giving them some type of foundation, giving them something, and it's not always financial, which even though that's a big part of it, I believe, because I believe in trying to build something to leave for my children. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with the wings, I love that part of it because that's reminding them that they can do whatever they want to do if they just try. You got wings, fly. Do what do what you love. Do what you love to do, and don't do it half-assed though. Do it to the
Right.
best of your ability. You
That's
know,
right.
do whatever that you love doing to the best of your ability. Um, um, but I love that. I love the wings and the roots part because
Yeah.
it's those two right there says a lot to me.
Right there.
You know
It
what I
says a
mean?
lot, right? Yeah,
It
yeah.
definitely says a lot.
And you definitely went there when you talking about the wings. I mean, that could be interpreted in so many ways, because you're not just talking about you want them to have physical wings, but which is as just saying having the ability to take flight or take off and do whatever they desire. But you want them to also be sound mind, body, and soul. You want them to be able to elevate to
Right.
all of that, and so um when you're trying to convey that message to children, the process can be quite challenging because there are moments that as a parent you could be like ride your children, but the whole time you're trying to uh come cross with them with such a soft soft subject or such a soft meaning.
So,
And so it's just it is important, I think, that parents take that into consideration, those two parts, that when you have this child, remembering all things that you're trying to establish the roots and at the same time give them wings. That's one of the reasons why I do so much. I promise you, I published my first book. Um, it was the e-copy was done in 2016. A hard copy came out in 2018. My first book was solely published to prove to my children you can do anything that you put your mind to. And when I did that, it made me really realize, as cliche as it sounds, that I had been holding myself back, from potentials because I didn't really understand what that meant until I tried to show my children. When I was growing up and thinking of it, saying, "Oh, I don't do anything," I was, and trying to do things, and it wasn't clicking. It wasn't. I was like, whatever, But then when it got time for me to really dig in deep and want to give my children a founding strength, it was that. It was, I said I'm going to publish a book. I've been saying it. I'm going to do it to show my children that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And the first part of was putting my mind to it. And
absolutely.
so, and I was able to do that. And then after that, I just been, in that cycle of learning how to put my mind to something and completing it. Um, and that's kind of leads to a conversation of, with, the thought of being a parent, of being an example. Sometimes I think that we don't realize that we are our children's first role models. We are their first image of what we are asking them to be. And I'm pretty sure as a father that plays a part with you having girls. How does
It,
it, I'm pretty sure it does.
it definitely does. And I want to go back to something you said that stands out with the word challenging, because it is challenging, and raising children now, we learning every day.
Right.
I know I am. I'm learning every day, raising two daughters, 14 and 12, um, and being alpha male is very
Mhm.
challenging for me raising girls. Um, it's almost comedic at times. If I had if I could record some of the conversations and videos, you know what I mean, when I'm driving my
Right,
girls to
right.
school or picking them up from school, and they hear my views on certain things, and I can hear what we've instilled in them already in the answers that they give me. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I've learned that I've had to tone down certain things, be more of an ear. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And just let them, talk. Communicating is one of the biggest things in any relationship, I believe. So
Right.
I basically just try to talk to them as much as I can, see where their mind is at, see what they're feeling. Um, Try not to come at them I don't want them to feel like they're being judged, you know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, I have to and instill things in them and let them know things that they may not think is fair, or they may not think that, they should, if you just let a kid do whatever they want, they'll run all over the place and just do whatever the hell they want. You know what I mean?
Right.
So sometimes you have to instill rules and let them know um, the difference between wrong and right. And I don't know. I feel like today is more of a lot more like feeling and mouth and like back.
Mhm.
Oh man, I don't want to say, but I got to go ahead. So I feel like when we were coming up, it was more of a um we were a little bit more rougher, tougher skinned. We were more rough around the
Right.
edges. You know what I
Say that.
mean?
Mhm.
Now that may have caused some trauma in a lot of us today that we're still
That's
dealing
right.
with because of that.
That's right.
But at the same time, with the kids today, being mindful of that, you try to come at them in a different way. You know what I
That's
mean? And
right.
it's difficult. It is.
It is. Say that. Bro, I'm glad you said that.
Um, it's very difficult. And all I can do is just conversate with them, just talk to them.
Right.
Let them know that they can come to me with anything. Me or their mom, and just with hopes that as they get older, the things that you instill in them will you know come out, and they'll make the
Right.
right decisions when you're not there. They'll do the right thing when you're not looking, or you know what I
Right.
mean, things like that.
Yes. Say that,
But
bro.
it's
I'm glad,
definitely
man. You brought a very important. I think again, and this is what this podcast is about, like talking about what we don't want to talk about. Let's be honest. Our generation that we came from, our parents was hard. They were
yeah,
hard. You couldn't talk. You couldn't think. You didn't get to ask questions. You didn't get to wonder. Everything. Nine times out of 10, you were getting a beating. And because of that, that messed us up. That messed us up. And how? So when we had our children, now I know me. I'm transparent. Starting out, I was, iron rod. But as I got to understand the generation that I was dealing with, I learned that I had to conform my way of parenting to meet them at their level. And that, they don't respond to, the way we did because they're
right,
different. First of all, they're a different generation. But
right,
also, too, for those of us, when we see, for me, when I started seeing the effects of how, relating as a child, seeing my children go through that, it made me step back. It made me step back and say, hey, oh, wait, I don't want to do what my parents did to me. I don't want to do that to them. So let me try this thing a different way. Let me, like you say, keep the lessons and the morals, because the truth is children are children. They
now
got to
this
learn.
is what, but I don't mean to cut you off, but this is
No, you
where
good, bro.
it gets this is where it gets complicated for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because, and I say this to my daughters all the time, baby, the way that you're responding to me or looking at me, I would never have thought of doing that to your grandmother or grandfather
Right,
when I was your age. There's no
right.
way in the world if they ask me a question would I give them this face or be like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what you mean? I mean,
Which
like
right,
back then you got the
right.
shit slapped out of you sometimes for stuff
Yeah, you
like
did.
that.
Yeah, yeah, you
Now
did.
it's different. It's a different time, and we have to. I had to realize it. I really did, and I'm still having issues with it. But we have to adapt to the things that's going on around us, to the times that's going on
That's right.
around us. Nowadays, when my children act a fool and I want them to get right, for one, just as me personally, I've never struck
Mhm.
my daughter. I'm not that dad that's going to beat my daughters. I that's just
Right.
me. I didn't get a bunch of
Understood.
beatings. I got struck by my father once, and I didn't need to know.
Okay.
I didn't need it anymore. I knew after
Right,
that
right,
when he
right,
looked
right.
across when he looked across the room, me and my brother
Yeah.
better be sit the fuck down or doing what he
Right,
said. If not, then you know what I mean. All he had to do was give you a look, and you didn't have to
right,
get hit anymore. You just got a
right.
look, and that means you better sit your ass down. Now
Yeah.
it's like all I do now, and I had to really, really sit down and think about this because for one, I want to be here as long as I can. So I don't want to do shit and have a constant attitude, walking around all the time and mess around and have a heart attack or stroke or you know
Right.
what I mean? I simply go and turn off the Wi-Fi. I turn
Right.
off the Wi-Fi. That's what I did.
Right.
Turn off the
That's it.
Wi-Fi or give me your phone. Give me
Right.
your phone. That's it.
Right. Right.
Put that
Right.
phone in my hand. Once they give up that phone, I didn't believe it when I first saw it, but it's like a junkie. It's like a drug. I'm serious. You know what I mean?
It is
They act
a
like they're
drug.
going
It
to die. They act like they're
is.
going to die because you took the phone.
Yeah, I
So
know.
you
I
know,
got I got one here. I take her phone. She goes to sleep like instantly. She can you want her to take a nap, take her phone. That's it. She can't even be woke without the phone. So I know.
yep.
And but it goes to show that we do understand that, um, we understand that we need to get a message across to you, children, and what we understand, and that the ways that our parents did it may not be conducive to your generation. So we're trying our best to adapt to that, but in return we need the obedience. We need to be obeyed, because then that will reduce the whole situation. That will reduce the process. um but
It's such a it really is a tougher time. And I want to say this too because with them being able to see so much with this social media and things of that nature, I feel like we dealing with the children having questions about their sexuality at an earlier age nowadays
right,
than we did
right,
before too. So that's another thing that we deal with as parents.
right,
Because me personally, I'm open no matter what my children how they which way they
right,
right now I see they both love boys. I know that. You
right,
know what I mean? But
right.
regardless, even if they
Right,
didn't,
right, right, right,
but
right, right,
but even if they didn't, I have to support what you know what I mean. As a father, you
right,
have to support whatever. So it's a lot. You know what I mean? It really is a
right,
lot
right.
to deal with
That is
in
true.
in,
It,
in this
yeah,
time.
it's true. I remember it was a lot of things we didn't get. We didn't get a spot. I remember being sent out of the room when Eddie Murphy stand up Raw came on. So
Uh,
it's like, even then, we weren't exposed to a lot of things unless we, snuck off and exposed ourselves, or we learned it from someone in school. But things were, even the music didn't expose as much. Now, I'll be honest, I was comparing the '90s R&B music one day, and I got the list. I say, now one thing I didn't realize about the now '90s music, That R&B music had a whole lot of extra sounds in the background. I didn't realize that until I started trying to compare the music of the day and then. But even then, that was almost being, at the peak of being Outkast. They would have explicit lyrics, put on the front of CDs and things to let people know. I was telling you, we had two different versions of songs. You had the radio version and the
Right.
version you got when you brought, the real thing. Well, now there's really no difference between the radio version and what you get when you purchase the actual LP. So
Right.
these differences, as a parent, you have to take those things into account, when you're trying to teach and guide the children of today, because you do have to understand that they're getting a whole lot more than what we're getting, a whole lot quicker. They're
A
getting
lot
this stuff
faster.
at the press of a button.
A lot faster, sis. I mean, super, super quick. Um, I remember as a kid the movies that we used to watch, Total Recall, and all of these movies that that showed glimpses of the future of where we are right now. And it's like,
Right,
damn, my kids look, they don't know what encyclopedias are unless I
right,
told them or even showed them. You know what I mean? Everything is push button, and I mess with them all the time. They ask me questions. I said, "Why don't y'all ask that these iPhones you got? Why you asking
right.
me?
Ask
Why don't
Google.
you Google that in your phone and ask that same question?" You know what I
Right,
mean? Um,
right.
but they do. They got so much. That's why I said we got to talk to them because they got so much that they
Yeah.
see so fast. A couple weeks ago, I think I had your husband on here. A couple weeks ago, when I had your husband on here, somebody commented, shout out to my sister Van. She was talking about how the kids see so much so fast that they don't even understand what they're looking at either.
That's the
They don't
truth.
even
They don't.
understand what they see, you
Right,
know? And if no
right,
one's there to talk to them or to explain it to them, they're going to
right.
go off and experiment on their own.
Yes, they are. Yeah, of course, they're
You
children.
know?
As so. So that was good, man. Man, we touched on some meaty topics, right? Some meaty little subjects there. And then that was good conversation. I hope whoever's listening, watching back, take this, be mindful. What's going on with your children and the information they're
Absolutely.
getting and how fast they're getting it and how they may not even be able to process it, especially at the level that we do as adults and experienced people who've been on, been around for a minute. So, and with that being said, that's a great segue to our next segment, which is our expert versus experience. I like to call it that because I no way in no form claim to have any type of educational credentials. I don't come on here as if I am certified by any state or anything to speak on mental and social health. But I had four mental health diagnoses, and I have birthed 7 children. I've been through some things in life, and so I credit myself with the experience to be able to speak on such topics. So this part of the show, I like to compare what the so-called pros have to say versus those of us who's out here, on the front line. What do we really think about what they're, bringing to us as far as information? And I read an article in Psychology Today. It can be found on psychologytoday.com, the website. The article was titled "Parents Just Don't Understand," and it was a very interesting article because it spoke on the teaching habits or the teaching ways, the way parents teach, and how there could be a disconnect in the way they teach and how they perceive their children because of our history, our experiences, and just being in the position of being a parent alone. And it's a very interesting article if you ever want to check it out. But in the article, oh yeah, I'm sorry, let me get this because we had that slight little delay. I had switched everything up here. Just give me a second and I'll pull it up. Because it's just a short little paragraph out of it. And it says it was talking about the different things that could play a part in parental bias. In other words, for parental bias. They're saying certain things that can cause parents to teach things from a biased standpoint. And it was very interesting what they said, because I myself kind of identified a little bit, but let me get it out the way. It says biology also plays a powerful role in parental bias. From an evolutionary perspective, we are compelled to reproduce to ensure that we pass our genetic line to future generations and avoid extinction. Our offspring represent a biological investment in our own futures, and we are driven to engage in strategic behavior to protect that investment. And so when I read that, it brought me to at one point in time, my oldest son is 25, and then I have a 23-year-old. And so at the time they were in middle school, I was being real heavy on them about their grades, because it was getting ready to have to pick a high school. And truth be told, I wanted them to pick City or Poly, because they're like the best schools in the city. And I was just being on like, you should be bringing home A's, and and my sons and until like, Mom, we're doing the best we can. Like, this is my grade. I know I can do better, but that A, that you, just me, And so I had to take a step back, and it taught me that I was actually parenting from a biased standpoint. I was trying to get them to meet a level of expectation that was for me, and not allowing them to set their own expectation and meet their own goal. And so that was when then the beginning of me really starting to understand that, as parents, sometimes we parent out of fear of our children being failures, or we parent out of already having portrayed what we want our child to be in the future. And sometimes that causes us to make choices or put pressure on our children that, can actually be damaging because of the type of parenting we're doing. And all we should really just try to be guiding them to be the best them they could be. And so with that being said, what do you think? What do you think about that, parenting from a biased standpoint?
Um, that's very interesting. I like it, and what's funny is both my daughters, um, and my nephews. Now, when I say my nephews, I'm talking about, because I got a big family on my wife's side too. But my
Okay.
brother's two sons. I'm talking about
Okay.
my brother's two sons, and my two daughters. All four of them get better grades than me and my brother did when we were when we were coming up in school. You know what I mean? These kids are like on the honor
Right.
roll, right? And
Right.
um, so for me, I don't know. I think that's one reason why, and because me and my brother actually talked about this one day, we both kind of like pull back on certain things when it comes to discipline, because they're not trouble kids. They don't do stuff that constantly, gets them in trouble. They do normal kid stuff, around the house stuff. I told you to take the laundry downstairs, and they take 3-4 hours. You
Right.
know what I mean? But when I feel like, when your kid is doing the best that they can, and they are bringing home good grades, and they're doing the best that they can to stay out of trouble. You know who their friends are. Um, you know, it's we can't look at it how we were raised, because it's such a different time. I say that it is what it is. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Um, I believe anxiety and mental peer pressure and all of that is even more on the children now than what we dealt with. Um,
Right.
Nowadays, a child can do something, and it can be blasted not only at school, but everybody at school can blast it on social media. And this kid
Oh wow. Yeah.
could go home and just really, really be gone about something that really wasn't that serious, but he or she has no one to talk to. So you never know
Right.
what it can do to them, how it can scar them or what it can do. Um, when it comes to parenting these days, it's hard, sis. I really is. I believe it's hard. I love to see co-parenting when, like, if the child is not in the house where both the parents are there. Um, at least if there's some co-parenting going on, or there's like the interest in the child, You know what I mean? I love to
Right.
see stuff like that because that's what it's about. Um, I
That
think
part.
with time and with experience, we get better at things. You know what I mean? Things that we don't know how to navigate through, but with time, prayer, um, I'm gonna just be honest. For me, um, medical cannabis,
Yeah, I know that's right.
medical
Say
cannabis,
it, bro.
medical cannabis, prayer, and just trust, man. You know what I mean? And um, you know, you're not always going to make the right decision. You're not always going to have the answer either. You know what I mean? But
Right.
one thing I can say with children, if you just communicate with them, let them know. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't have to be perfect. You know what I mean? I wasn't perfect. You know, my father, my dad, made me and my brother read into the um in a tape recorder. We used to have to read the newspaper in a tape recorder. I said this before in one of my podcasts. He used to work nights, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when we wasn't playing football or whatever, because he was the coach. When football season wasn't in session, while he was at work, when we came home from school, we had to spend at least 5 or 10 minutes reading an article in the newspaper in the tape recorder. So he could hear it when he came home, because when he came home at 12, 1 o'clock, we were already asleep. So,
Wow.
I feel like, it's so much easier now to uh like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like, I don't want to say the kids are softer now, because they're not. I
Right.
really don't believe that. With with
Right.
yesterday, they were out for rain, and I was looking on
Yeah.
some of my looking at some of my timeline stuff, and people like, man, I remember, we had to walk
Yeah.
through this, or when it was hot, all we had
Yeah.
to do was put our head on the desk, and they not going to
Yeah.
school because of rain and this, that, and the other. Well, at the same time, it's a safety issue too. You know what I mean? They had to go through
Right.
certain shit where they were letting people go in conditions that wasn't safe, and then someone lost their life or something like that. So
Right.
now,
Right.
what I mean, they're trying to make it, precaution and do stuff with safety and things of that nature. But with bias, with the
That's good.
parenting, like I said, with me, I just pray, you know what I mean, and I medicate, because I do not
Right.
want to stress myself and have a
Right.
stroke or a heart attack. You know what I mean? With so many different things. I have two daughters. I'm in the house with my wife, two daughters.
Right. Oh yeah.
So with that being said, right?
That's it. No,
So
not no. I go into deep detail, but so much. It's the
it's a
3 on 1.
lot of emotional things going on, right?
That's
It's a
about to
lot
say.
going
Sometimes
on.
that three triples.
That it's a lot of emotional things going on, and it's taught me to be more patient sometimes with stuff. I ain't gonna lie, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Um, I'm getting older now, so it's no point. I can't just um I don't fly off the handle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm more
Yeah.
open. I try to listen more, or or communicate more, because instead of flying off the handle, just getting quiet and not saying nothing is just as bad, because that can cause stress on yourself and in your
Mhm.
relationship, in your household, with your family, with your children. You know what I mean? Like I say, communicate, communicate. That's all I try to do. That's my only solution. I feel as though that I can do is try to keep the doors open with communication with them. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I
just,
think that's important. Yeah, I hope everyone's definitely really taking in what you're saying, because, it's communicating is really such a powerful thing. And I love when, I'm not gonna say I love, but lately I've been admiring when my husband and I have a conversation, and we both end up enlightening each other on something that was miscommunicated, where it was
mm,
just like, oh. that's what you meant, or oh, that's what was really being said, or oh, this was really going on. And just having that moment of understanding that there was a miscommunication, and now there is clarity there. That it has been very a moment that has been very appreciative lately for me. I've been very grateful for those moments, because I'm starting to really understand the importance of proper and productive communication. And I'm hearing you saying, as a father with daughters, one of the main things you've learned to do is just be patient and listen, which that plays a part too of communication. We're just talking about being able to listen and then speak, and then listen and then speak, and allowing the exchange of words to come through. And like that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of discipline, especially with children and with youth, especially if you start hearing conversations that you kind of really don't want to hear as a parent. But I think, especially like you say, with all the information that's going on, it's important to be able to pause and listen to what they're saying, because they need to get, this information out, because it's coming to them so fast. And so we, in order to bridge the gap, we need to be able to understand them. And to do that, we have to listen. We have to listen to what they're, saying. We have to listen to what they're listening to. We have to even stop and listen to see what they're watching. I have some 4-year-olds, and I'm like, always try to be sure that I'm paying attention to what they're watching. And it's very important. But overall, communicating is about understanding as a parent, trying to understand your child. And that's very, very important. So man, John, that was a good conversation. I know we can go on and on, about this and probably so much more. But we're gonna wrap it up. Go ahead, wrap it up. We get into the last part of the show, which I like to give my mindful thought of the day. And then if I say what I say, I'm gonna let you say what you say. Hit that button. Cut it off. I'm gonna let you say what you say, and then we're gonna close on out. But I do want to say before I do that, I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to have you on again. It's always a pleasure. We always get wrapped up and exchange so much, and it's great. It's great. I love having you're like a big brother. I didn't have no brothers growing up. My mom had all girls, and so I look to you. I listen to you. So you definitely give me that brotherly love. You help keep my mind there. You help me keep my mind where it needs to be, and I appreciate that. So this night's mindful thought is going to come from I'm just going to use one thought from Proverbs, but I'm going to go into something that Buddha mentions about being a parent. And Proverbs 22:6, we've heard this before, but I think this is just one of the most important proverbs in the book of what's considered the Holy Bible. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Buddha describes parents using three words. He calls them Brahma, which is the Hindu word for the creator. He calls them the first teachers, and then he calls them the gift worthy persons. I think we all have some type of experiences in life, whether it's with biological children or not, where we're in a position to be an impression of a parent to a child, whether it's nieces, nephews, godchildren, teachers, whomever. And I think it's very important that we are mindful to know that what we teach them, what we instill in them, is what they will carry on for the rest of their lives. And as being born and grown from a child to an adolescent, teen, young adult, now adult parent, now I reflect on the things that I went through as a child and things that I experienced from my parents. And I try to incorporate all of these things into trying to be the best parent that I can be for my child. Because at the end of the day, I know in my heart that, I am the first teacher. I am, and giving life is the most worthy gift that can be given to anyone.
Mhm.
and being in the thought of that, as Buddha said, the creator. We are creating generations. We are creating generations when we give birth. So it is really up to us to make sure that we understand the next generation so that they can create better generations thereon. So, John, say what you have to say. Make sure you tell everyone where to follow you at, and yeah.
First, I want to say thank you for what you said. This is the beauty in just trusting God and being comfortable in your own lane or path, right?
Right.
Um, I'm downstairs in my house right now while we're talking, you know. Um,
Right.
just in the next room, in my laundry room is where everything every brand that you know of me of doing was created in a laundry room where I sat at a desk that was the size of a desk that you could use, I don't know, in elementary school or something like that. I let my daughters use it when they were really young, 5 and 6 and 7, to sell lemonade out on the porch, right? Um, there was times where I was going through so much shit with my relationship with my wife, my relationship with God, because I had questions of why I was dealing with some of the things I was dealing with, and all of this was birthed and created out of a room where I was washing clothes, and I felt like I went back there, I could smoke, that was my area in the house to just be peace and just let everything that I was dealing with come out. Um, So that's how all of that was created. Like I when I hear people, because a few people have come to me and express my book, or when they read my book, Unusual Favor, what it did for them or how they felt about it or whatever, you know what I mean? And sometimes I get really emotional about it because you never know where people are coming from and what they were dealing with. So that same person who I could be talking to, who's like, man, who, it's like, man, I love coming to your events, and I have such fun, and you make me want to write more and this, that, and the other. Sometimes inside, I'm fighting every ounce to not break down and cry because you have no idea what I did or what I was going through to even get to where I'm at, and I'm nowhere. I feel like I got so much farther to go. But to hear somebody say something that I did or wrote or said inspired them or helped them, man, um, that for me is everything. It really is. I'm not gonna sit up here in front. Everybody wants to make their dream monetary. You know what I
Right.
mean? But
Right.
but you know, this is 2024. Just 11 years ago, this June coming up will be an 11-year anniversary of the
Mm,
devil really trying to take me out of here, where I wasn't even supposed to
mm,
be here. You know what I
mm.
mean? And I birthed 3 books from it, a
Right.
podcast. I've met amazing
Yeah.
people. I'm building
Yeah.
relationships with amazing people. That's what it's about. And when we're going through rough times, that's what I want people to remember. Like, it doesn't last long. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It doesn't last long. The shit that we deal with, um, you never know in sharing it and sharing what your issue is or what you're dealing with, how it can help somebody else. You know what I mean? But yeah, so like I said, my name is John Hansboro. I am the Spitfire Poet, with an unusual favor. You
That's
can
right.
follow me on Instagram, Facebook at John Hansboro. Um, Spitfire Poetry Shutdown is my podcast that I do every Wednesday from 7 to 8 o'clock. Go to YouTube and subscribe to the What Up Baltimore TV page so you can check me out every Saturday. I'm sorry, every Wednesday Just last night, I broadcast last night, right? I text Lady J and was like, "Hey, can we do a rerun?" I wasn't really prepared. I was running around. My daughter got out of cheerleading a little later, whatever. So I wanted my energy to be right, and it wasn't. So I was like, let's just do a rerun. And I'm sitting back at about, I don't know, 7:45. And I logged on and I'm looking at it, and I think it was with me and Shamice.
Okay.
And it just reminds me of how far you come. Sometimes when we go so far, sometimes when we going so fast, we don't see what we're doing or the impact that we've had. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and I enjoy just sitting back, just watching the conversation with me and her. You know what I mean? That's my sister. I love Shamice. As you know, she's a wonderful, wonderful,
Wonderful.
God sent woman. I met you all through her. You know what I mean? She hit me up and was letting me know about this amazing crew of people that was doing I Am Woke production, and I'm telling you, that right there. See, you said I brought something to it. See, when I would come to rehearsals and we all sitting there, we going over stuff and doing stuff, I could feel the energy. I could feel the unity, because it was I never felt any hate.
Right.
I never felt like it was
Yep.
no competition with nobody. And
Nope.
everybody got their
Nope.
own things. Everybody was doing something. Everybody got their own shit that they were doing. You know what I mean? And it also inspired other people to do. Look at Ashley. Shout out to
Yep.
Ashley. Go follow
Shout out to
Ashley
Ash.
on Instagram. I forget her Instagram name, but she
It's
just
Ash
released.
Tiana.
Yeah, she just released a book. Mozart
I
just
got my
released a
copy.
book. You know what I mean? Like
Got my copy.
my boy Isaiah Hayes, I heard him on my show last week. He just released his first book. Like it's I love the unity of it. When you're around a group of people and the energy feels right, you can't let that go. You know what I mean? I try to stay
Right.
touch with everybody. I tag everybody when I do
Right.
fly. All you see how I do, you know what I mean? At the beginning, I used to be like, shit, I should tag 75 people. They probably don't get up. I said, man, so if they don't like it, let them delete the shit. I'm trying to promote a brand here. What are we doing? You know, what are we doing? Am I playing with it or what? You know what I mean? So, I love to see the growth in everybody and everybody doing something that they love, because we all got a story, sis. We all got a story, and we all want to be inspiring to somebody. So, with that being said, I am Spit Final Ball with a usual favor. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think I can still have a Twitter account. And TikTok as well. And John Hansboro on Spitfire Poetry Shutdown. Happy New Year to everybody. I always say, if you want to be blessed, you have to bless somebody else. That's the only way it's going to work.
That's the only way it's going to work. Thanks, John. I appreciate you. I'll make sure I'm going to send you the link so we can share this. You guys help me keep the podcast going. These conversations to me are important, that we able to have a platform that we could talk about these things and not, feel shunned or feel like we can't say what we need to say, because that's what needs to be said. We got to be more mindful. And with that, I'm your host again, Aneski Anna Kimset. Aneski literally means she belongs to me. I thank you for having me for this hour. I'm out. John, catch you next time. And hey, y'all, you guys know, just be more mindful.
Thank you, sis. I love you. Congratulations. I'm so
Love
proud.
you too. Thank you, John.
You know how to hit me up. I'm there.
Got you.
All right.